Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Profit Minds podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch, creator of the Profit Minds Growth System, a unique blend of profit growth, productivity acceleration, and building robust business process for scale. In every episode, I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners from around the world with a unique story to tell. You can find the show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you. We've gotten to spend, a good amount of time together this last year between networking and my show and now yours. I'm excited to have another conversation.
Yeah, it's so great to have you on. So the importance of story. So tell us yours.
I don't know if we have that much time.
Okay. All right. So the highlights, or the lowlights.
Yeah. So I guess I would like to share about why sharing your story is so important to me. I think that everyone has a story to tell, and it's interesting. In middle school, I had gotten really interested in genealogy, and finding out where my family was from, and just being really passionate about learning where they came from. And it wasn't enough for me to, see their name on a headstone or find, something in a census. I would want to know, why did they write that way? Why did they come here? Why did this happen this way? And I suppose that lit a little bit of a fire underneath me when it came to learning about the importance of everyone's stories, because we're more than what we are on the surface. There's so much underneath, and I've learned that my own story throughout the years has not just inspired me, but when I learned that it inspired other people, I said, wait a minute, there's something here. If we can talk about our own stories, talk about our own lives, our own journeys, and that gives us a spark to heal, to move forward, to grow. And then it's helping other people to heal and grow. And then the third part is that it brings us together, because now we're sharing those stories. It's a magic that happens. And for me, when my brother passed away 12 years ago, that was the start of a very important chapter in my story. And when I wrote about the experience that I had when my brother passed away, this was when that all came together for me. Writing that story helped me to process his passing. It helped other people that knew him and loved him to process his passing. And then it was an opportunity for us to come together. So it's very important to me. I've watched it played out in my own life, and I love to provide a space where other people can do that as well.
Yeah, as I know you're aware, everybody's story is unique, right? But that common thread of humanity weaves its way through it. And so, you're sharing out of your experience, gives people the permission to share their own story,
right,
and heal in that way. So they heal by your example. They heal by you being able to enable them to share their story and to go through the same kind of catharsis that you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you say you don't niche down, right? Your business is multifaceted.
Yeah.
Why is it important to you that you're so broad in your business, that you don't niche down?
Well, I think the really easy answer to that, and it's part of my story, is that it's who I am. I've always been having my hands in everything. And then that somehow, I guess, sort of carried over, because I ended up having 6 children, and then you're kind of spread out all over the place then too. So it plays out in like literally every aspect of my life. But it's interesting because I think when people hear multi-passionate or lack of having a niche, they think that we're just throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks, like that's what it is. But the truth is, and I think I've recognized this in other really multi-passionate people, other people who maybe have several things that they do as part of their business or as their business plan, is that we tend to be even more focused. We tend to be even more organized because we have to be in order to have that many balls in the air at one time. It's a natural thing, I think. But I was not born organized, Stephen, and I was not my mother can tell you what my bedroom floor used to look like. My teacher could tell you what my locker used to look like. But I've had to teach myself, okay, if I really want to chase all these dreams, creative dreams that I have literally every moment of the day, then I've got to be on the ball, and I've got to try to, keep organized and everything like that. So, but I feel like it's allowed me freedom to just be who I am in the moment, to focus on what I want in the moment. I just came out with a book, and it's my third book, yeah, no, fourth. And so, and then I do the network, and I'm a mom, and I'm a wife, and I am a Reiki master, and I do a lot of different things. But it allows me to, whatever I'm passionate about in the moment, whatever I'm really feeling in the moment, I can run with that today. And if I'm a happier, joy-filled person because I'm getting to do what I love to do, then you're getting the better of me as well, as my client, or as the reader of my book, or as my child, or as my husband, whatever the interaction is that I have in that moment.
Yeah. That and that's true for everybody, right? It's we all play a bunch of different roles. In fact, that's one of the things I work on with my productivity clients is identifying the 5 to 7 most important roles, and people play more than that, of course, but the 5 to 7 most important roles that you play in your life. And then what are your goals for each of those roles that you play? Right. And I'm sure, you have all these different roles, and I'm sure you have goals or things that you're trying to accomplish in each of those areas. And yeah, you get the opportunity to touch on them, daily, weekly, however it is that your schedule, or however you set your priorities for that day. Right.
Yeah. I get to go with what I feel good with. And that's been such a big part of when I'm working with people about developing their spirituality, or we're doing a Reiki session or whatever. So much of that is about leaning into your own intuition and what you feel in the deepest parts of your heart and your gut that you should be doing. And I'm a better person when I can just allow myself to lean into that instead of what I think it is I'm supposed to be doing, according to all the little voices in my head that say that you can't do that, or you should be doing this, or the shoulds that are not fun.
And we all have those little voices that go, you should be, you shouldn't be. Yeah, right. So it's so great that you're able to lean into that is just right in the moment. So tell us a little bit about your business and all of the different things, all the different aspects that you have going.
So I'm an author. That's one of the things that I didn't expect to be doing right now, because I wasn't really good at that back in school days. I wasn't good at the writing. I remember specifically about storytelling. This is a funny joke for any of you that a funny story for any of you that love storytelling. Back in school, when they used to tell you to read a book and then you were supposed to write like a summary, I would essentially rewrite the book. I would think that I would get in trouble all the time from my teachers, because I would think literally every part of the story is so important. And I suppose that's what makes me a good space keeper for those telling stories now, because I really do think that the little things are important, and it's important to get all those details in there. But But so I'm an author. I write different types of book that can help people in the moment. But I'm also working on a book that is a collection of short stories about growing up with my grandparents, which I think is still in that same lines of helping people where they are in the moment, of that self-help sort of niche, if you will. Um, but it's a personal, and that's why it's taking me so
Mhm.
so long
Yes.
to write it. But I'm also the creator, producer, and host of the Breakthrough Show Network, which is a collection of live stream broadcasts by different really passionate hosts that are excited about changing the world through their show. And that all started after that story I told you about that I wrote about my brother passing. It was a collection of stories, a compilation book, and it became a bestseller. And that was done. And I said, what am I supposed to do now? Because I had no plan. It wasn't, there were so many other people, so many other women part of that project who already had super established businesses. And I was doing a little bit of coaching, but doing a lot of one-on-one work completely burns me out, and I recognize that about myself. And so I much more prefer to do group projects and things like that. But it's but I did, so I didn't know what I was going to do. And I said, well, I love this idea of telling stories. I had really come to enjoy at that time videos and video self-produced chat shows and things like that were just becoming a thing. And I said, I think I could probably do this and it would be fun. And so a friend of mine and I came up with the Breakthrough Show, and we wanted to tell our own stories and tell stories of others who had had big breakthrough moments in their lives. And fast forward now, that was 2018. Now I'm on season 6 of the Breakthrough Show, and there are 5 other shows on the network, and that now it's a network. And I never could have imagined it went this way, but that's where we are. Like I said, I'm also a Reiki master healer, and I love to dab in the spiritual world and personal development and anything that I feel like can bring us a little more joy to our day, a little more happiness, because when we are that way, then the world can be that way.
Yeah. So you said your show network is live streaming? Is that?
Yes.
So
Yep.
none of the stuff, like this show is recorded.
Right.
But so none of your shows are recorded. They're all live streamed.
So the Breakthrough Show, I started recording that, I think 2 seasons ago. And that was because I had a little bit of a different trajectory for the show, but it airs as it's live. It airs as if we're live. And that way it gives me the ability to still interact with the comments and things like that come in on YouTube. For me, that's one of the beauties of live streaming, is the ability to speak to people as they're hearing your story, to answer questions, to elaborate on something. And the beauty of that for me, it's so much fun to watch it happen, is there's been so many times where there's been a purpose for the show, and yes, that purpose is important, but sometimes with the live streaming, you'll get a question that'll come in, and it'll be, you can hear in your head, but not really, the oohs and ahs of everybody going, this is exactly what I needed right now. And you can go down that avenue, and you can visit those things in your conversation. It can be whatever you want to make of it in the moment. And I feel so much more freedom in that than I did going, okay, now here's the recording and this is what we're gonna do. And but I'm an outside the box kind of person.
Yeah. Clearly. So basically what happens is, even though they are recorded, you put them up, you play them out at a particular time on like YouTube, and people can interact with them, and then presumably you are there to interact, or how does that?
I'm there to interact, and it's and the Breakthrough Show is the only one that's like that. All of the other ones are actually live streamed, all the other ones on the network. So I do Project Joy Live, which is a morning show. You've been on my show, My
Yeah.
Way, which we did live as well.
Right.
And the Jackson Show and Shiraz's show and the Spirit Session show, those are all with other hosts, and they're all live as well. Live.
That's really cool. And do you provide then support guidance for the folks that are in your network? Is that part of the service that's there with the Breakthrough Network?
Yeah, there's guidance there. Obviously when you're live, you have the opportunity for a lot of amazing things, but there's also opportunity for, little trolls and every now and then to come into the comments. So we have moderators and things like that that are there to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen. And then we have host meetings, which is a lot of fun because it's really a mastermind type of environment. Because if you could get together with everybody else, in your community that's doing similar things to you, and can say, hey, what's working for you right now as far as finding guests, having an audience, more interaction on your show, topic creation, graphics for your show, any of those things I think are so I can tell you things, but like you said, everybody's different, everybody's stories are different. And so if we have now a group of hosts coming together saying, this is what worked for me, this is what worked for me, you can pick one, or you can now, maybe you're inspired to do your own thing.
Right. Yeah, the yes and of sort of sharing ideas. All of those ideas spark other ideas, and the specific idea may not resonate with you, but it may spark something that takes you in a different direction, and that's a wonderful thing. So the network is more than just you helping people, but it's bringing together a community of people who do this, are like-minded about it. I think that's terrific.
Yeah. And that's what I hear, when I've asked, because we just did a little bit of rebranding with how we're presenting the host opportunity. And I asked my current hosts, I said, and I thought they would say things like, you do the little graphic for me, or you do this for me, or whatever. And the number one thing they all said was like, this is a family for me. This is I can't get this anywhere else. And so that meant a lot to me.
For many entrepreneurs, the loneliness of, the decision stops with you. You have to make all the decisions. You have to, make sure all the work gets done, and you don't really have anybody to share with. So having a community like that, it harkens back to Napoleon Hill's, original idea of the mastermind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, where you have like-minded people who are interested in doing something special together.
Yeah,
that's great. So you mentioned your new book, Thriving Through Change. Yeah, what? Oh, look!
It's like
just happen to have a copy here. Yes, perfect. What's that about?
So I wrote in an ebook in 2016. Now this is pre-Breakthrough Show. This is when I was doing coaching and things like that, called Coping Through Change. And it was a little, I don't know, maybe 20-page ebook. It was nothing formal. I didn't even have it formally published. I just sold it as it was. And it was more than just an ebook. It was like an interactive guide. So I had like meditations included with it and some positive affirmations and things like that. And so, but through the last several years, I had this voice that came to me, like many of us did in 2020 when the world was going nuts.
Yeah.
That was like, you are literally, and if I can speak directly to your audience, Stephen, I would love to do that, because
Please.
I believe that every single one of you listening right now, you can already cope. You can all, because you've already done it. You're here right now. You have literally, like, think about this, like literally for a moment, you have gotten through every single thing that you've been faced with up until this point, and you're still doing it right now as we talk. You're coping just fine. And so It's so important. I think you're capable of more than that. I think that you are able to use every single challenge, every single change that you are faced with to thrive, to use it as a stepping stone, to move forward, to come out on the other side of these changes an even more amazing person than you already are. And so this book really breaks down simple things that we should know, but yet here we are. And I think, little self-care, mindset, saying no. How many of us need to do that more
Oh my
often?
goodness.
And one of the big things, I'm so excited about this because I have literally been waiting years to get to break this down, is that expectations are actually essential to our thriving. And I talk about that in the book. So I'm excited about that, which goes, it's a little bit outside of what most people tell you in the personal development world.
Yeah.
Don't expect anything, but I turn it around a little bit for you.
Do you want to say more about that? You want to
I,
share a tidbit or two about how that works?
Sure. So this is what I'll say about that. When we talk about one of the things we talk about a lot in the spiritual community is law of attraction, right? Like what
Mhm.
you want, you get into, you attract it to your life. Well, one of the key parts to law of attraction is expecting things to be what you want it to be.
Mhm.
And when we expect things to be uh not so great, then a lot of times that's what we end up seeing in our lives. And so expectation is an amazing part of learning to thrive, because we have to expect that things are going to be better on the other side of these changes that are taking place. If we expect them to be horrible, if we expect that change is going to be miserable and hard work, then here we are. But expectation is a huge part of it. And then we get to the real work that happens after that expectation, and that's detaching from which is
Yeah.
real fun. but
Yes.
I was excited to talk about that in the book, because I think expectation is such a human thing, that we are really doing ourselves a disservice. And I understand that there's a very popular book out there with 4 parts that everybody loves, that tells you don't expect anything. But I think expectation is part of us being human, and it helps us to set boundaries, and it helps us to manifest the amazing lives that we want to have. So I say expect, just detach a little bit more from the outcome, I suppose.
Yeah, or maybe set the expectation, but don't be attached to the process. I mean, that
Right.
don't be attached to the path that you see today that you will get there, because
Right.
the universe provides amazing, sometimes astoundingly better alternatives than what you could have imagined.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. My 4 parts that I share in the book are to plan, expect, allow, and then detach.
I love that.
Thank you.
But this goes along with some of the work by Dr. Covey, and which
Mm,
he talks about, a thing has to be thought of before you can do it, right? The
right.
action, you have to have an intention. You have to have a thought before you can do. I mean, I decide I want to pick up my water bottle, for example. I have to think I'm going to pick up my water bottle and then reach for it,
Mm,
right? But so nothing happens without the thought preceding it,
yeah.
right?
And the
This
truth is that a lot of these stories that we are living now, a lot of the lives that we've created for ourselves, if you are like me and doing what you love to do every single day, I often say I could have never imagined this as it's become. However, if I think back to my childhood, there are moments there that I can see this person that I am, that I've become now. She was there. She was there when I was literally 8 years old, in my grandmother's living room with the Tiffany blue carpet. Um, hello 1975.
Yes, yes.
And I came up with a seminar at 8 years old for her on how to love yourself. And my grandmother entertained this. I bless her. I love her. I loved
Wow.
her so much. And I don't know why I did that. I had like Taylor Dane on the boombox, Stephen, like Love Will Lead You Back. And I made colored pamphlets. And I just wanted people even then to just love themselves and to be happy and joyful. And even though things have look different now, I suppose, than I thought that they would, I'm still doing that, and I still want those same things. So that's like my story. It's still the same, but that's that detaching part. It just looks a little different.
Yeah. That's so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and all of the uniqueness of what makes you unique.
Absolutely.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Jessica, what's the best way for them to reach out?
They can go to jessicadugas.com or thebreakthroughshow.com. And then you can always email me, Jessica, at either Jessica Dugas or thebreakthroughshow.com.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
You've been listening to the Profit Minds podcast. This is your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch. Please visit www.profitminds.net for other episodes or to contact me. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. Thanks for listening. Have a grateful day.